God says, "Listen closely, my beloved soul, because what you are about to hear is not meant to shame you or label you, but to free you." If you have ever felt that people keep a distance from you, that conversations don't deepen, that connections start but quietly fade, know this first: you are not broken, you are not unlovable, and you are not invisible to heaven. There is a gentle reason behind what you are experiencing, and there is also a gentle way forward. This message comes to you now because understanding brings peace, and peace opens doors that effort alone never could. There are seasons when your spirit grows faster than your surroundings. In those seasons, people may feel unsure how to approach you, not because you are cold, but because you carry depth. Depth can feel quiet. Depth can feel serious. Depth can feel unfamiliar to those who are used to shallow waters. You may walk into rooms with a calm presence, speak with thoughtfulness, listen more than you talk, and unknowingly, that can make others unsure of how to meet you. This is not a flaw. It is a sign of maturity forming within you. But maturity also needs warmth to invite connection. Another truth is this: when you have learned to be strong alone, your energy can say, "I don't need anyone," even when your heart still desires closeness. People often approach where they feel welcomed, not where they feel unnecessary. Strength is beautiful, but openness is what allows others to step in. You do not need to become smaller, louder, or different. You only need to allow yourself to be seen where you once learned to stay guarded. What protected you before may now be gently pushing others away. Sometimes distance forms because you carry unhealed expectations. When you've been disappointed before, your spirit may quietly test people without realizing it. You may wait for them to prove safety before you soften, but they are waiting for softness before they step closer. This silent waiting creates space where connection could have grown. Healing here does not mean forgetting your past. It means no longer letting the past decide who deserves access to your present. There is also a sacred truth many overlook: not everyone is meant to come close. When your inner life deepens, your circle naturally refines. Fewer people come close, but the right ones do. The discomfort you feel is not always rejection, sometimes it is preparation. You are being aligned for connections that recognize your value without you having to perform, explain, or chase. Still, alignment does not mean isolation. You are allowed to desire closeness while honoring discernment. So what can you do about it, starting now, in a way that feels natural and true to you? Begin with one small shift: replace self-protection with gentle curiosity. Instead of waiting to be understood, ask and listen with warmth. Let your eyes soften. Let your presence feel safe, not distant. Share one honest thought instead of many careful ones. You don't need to reveal everything. You only need to reveal enough to signal, "I'm here, and I'm open." Next, release the belief that closeness must happen quickly or perfectly. Connection grows through consistency, not intensity. Small moments repeated build trust. A kind check-in. A sincere smile. A thoughtful response. These are invitations people understand. When you stop measuring yourself by how close others come and start measuring how present you are, connection begins to flow naturally. Also, forgive yourself for the times you pulled back. You did what you knew how to do. Growth does not judge the past, it thanks it and moves forward. As you forgive yourself, your energy lightens. And when your energy lightens, people feel it before they understand it. They sense ease. They sense permission. They sense room to come closer. Remember this deeply. You are not meant to attract everyone. You are meant to attract alignment. When you stand in quiet confidence, paired with openness, the right people recognize you. They don't rush. They don't drain you. They meet you with respect. This message is not asking you to change who you are, it is inviting you to allow who you are to be felt. God says, you were never designed to walk unseen. You were designed to walk understood by those who matter. As you integrate this understanding, something subtle will shift. Conversations will linger longer. Eyes will meet yours more easily. Invitations will feel natural, not forced. And even when distance remains, it will no longer feel heavy, because you will know it is not about your worth. Let this truth settle gently within you. You are becoming approachable without losing your depth, open without losing your strength, and connected without losing yourself. This is the balance heaven teaches over time, and today, you have taken a step into it. God says, "Stay with me a little longer, my beloved soul, because understanding does not arrive all at once. It unfolds layer by layer, just like healing, just like trust, just like connection itself." What you are discovering right now is not a flaw in your personality, it is a pattern in your spirit that once served you, but now quietly asks to be understood so it can transform. When people don't come close, it often feels personal, but the truth is deeper and far more gentle than self-blame. There are moments in life when you learn to survive by becoming self-contained. You learned how to process pain alone, how to calm yourself without reassurance, how to move forward even when nobody checked on you. That strength became part of your identity. Over time, your spirit learned a language of independence so fluent that others could not hear the softer dialect beneath it. People often approach where they sense emotional exchange, not emotional self-sufficiency. This does not mean you did something wrong. It means you became capable before you were comforted, and that changes the way your presence is felt. Your silence has depth, but silence can also feel unreadable to others. When you listen carefully, think deeply, and respond thoughtfully, people may not know how to enter that space. They may assume you don't need them, or worse, that you don't want them. Yet inside, you may be hoping someone notices, someone stays, someone understands without you having to ask. This gap between what you feel and what you project is not deception, it is conditioning. And conditioning can be gently rewritten. Another layer to consider is this: you may carry an old belief that closeness requires effort, performance, or proving worth. When you sense people drifting, your instinct may be to retreat inward rather than reach outward. You protect your dignity. You protect your heart. You tell yourself you're fine alone. But connection grows when dignity and vulnerability walk together, not when one replaces the other. You don't need to explain your whole story. You only need to allow small windows where your humanity can be seen. Sometimes people don't come close because your energy feels resolved while theirs is still searching. When you have made peace with certain truths, others who are still wrestling may feel uncomfortable near your calm. Peace can feel confronting to those who are used to chaos. Your grounded presence may unintentionally remind them of what they are avoiding within themselves. This again is not rejection. It is resonance, or the lack of it. Not everyone can meet you where you stand, and that is not a judgment, it is timing. There is also the hidden weight of unspoken expectations. When you have been let down before, your heart may quietly say, if they care, they will show it without me asking. But people do not always read silence as invitation. Often they read it as closure. Communication is not weakness, it is clarity. Expressing a need does not make you needy, it makes you human. The moment you give yourself permission to name what you feel, even softly, you allow others the chance to respond instead of guess. God says, look closely at the way you enter relationships. Do you arrive already prepared to leave if disappointment appears? Do you? If you carry unresolved sadness, guardedness, or disappointment, others may sense it even when you never speak it. Energy communicates faster than words. Healing is not about hiding your wounds, it is about no longer letting them speak for you. As you tend gently to your inner world, your outer presence naturally softens, and softness is an invitation people understand instinctively. Let us also speak about self-worth without performance. If deep inside you believe you must be useful, interesting, or strong to be valued, you may unconsciously block closeness when you feel tired or ordinary. You may only show the composed version of yourself. But real connection forms when people see you as you are, not as you manage yourself to be. Allowing others to witness your unpolished moments creates space for mutual humanity, and mutual humanity builds closeness faster than perfection ever could. God says, there is nothing wrong with you for feeling lonely in rooms full of people. Loneliness is not the absence of company, it is the absence of understanding. And understanding does not arrive by accident. It arrives when you allow alignment instead of approval to guide you. When you stop asking, why don't people come close to me, and begin asking, who is truly meant to walk beside me, your perspective shifts. From loss to discernment. You are not meant to be accessible to everyone. You are meant to be accessible to those who recognize your heart. This season may feel quiet not because you are being ignored, but because you are being refined. As you grow more honest with yourself, you become clearer to others. Clarity attracts clarity. Confusion attracts distance. The work you are doing now is invisible, but its results will be unmistakable. There is also a sacred invitation here. Learn to initiate without fear of imbalance. Initiation does not mean chasing. It means expressing interest, warmth, and curiosity without attaching your worth to the outcome. When you initiate from fullness instead of need, you remain grounded regardless of the response. This posture changes everything. People sense when connection is offered freely, not demanded silently. God says, your heart is learning a new rhythm. One that balances strength with openness, discernment with warmth, independence with connection. This rhythm takes time to settle. Be patient with yourself. Every interaction is practice. Every conversation is feedback. Every pause teaches you something about your boundaries and your desires. As this understanding deepens, you may notice subtle changes. People may linger longer in conversation. Someone may open up unexpectedly. An old connection may resurface with new energy. Or you may simply feel more at ease being yourself, regardless of who comes close or who doesn't. That ease is the true sign of growth. From ease, connection flows naturally. God says, "You are not distant by nature. You became careful by experience. And now, experience is giving way to wisdom." Wisdom does not close the heart, it teaches it where to open. Stay with this process. Let it unfold. You are learning how to be seen without shrinking, and that lesson changes not only who comes close to you, but how deeply you can let them in. This message continues, and its unfolding will go even deeper, because understanding the pattern is only the beginning. Transformation comes as you live this awareness gently, day by day, moment by moment, without force, without fear, and without rushing yourself. God says, "Now we move deeper, my beloved soul," because awareness without integration only stays in the mind, but understanding that reaches the heart begins to reshape your life. In this part, you are not just learning why people don't come close. You are learning how to gently change the inner signals you send into the world without losing who you are. This is not about becoming louder, softer, different, or more acceptable. This is about becoming more present in your own truth. One of the most important things to recognize is how early emotional experiences train your nervous system. When closeness once came with disappointment, confusion, or emotional responsibility beyond your age, your body learned to associate intimacy with pressure. Even now, when your mind wants connection, your body may tighten slightly, pull back subtly, or stay neutral to stay safe. People often respond not to what you say, but to what your body language and energy communicate. Healing begins when safety is reintroduced into closeness, slowly and consistently. You may notice that when conversations start becoming personal, you instinctively redirect, joke, intellectualize, or offer advice instead of sharing your own inner state. This is a learned skill. It kept you protected. But it also taught others that you are the listener, the helper, the observer, not the participant. Relationships deepen when roles are balanced. When you allow yourself to say, "I don't know," or "that affected me," or "I'm still figuring this out," you invite equality into connection. Equality is where closeness lives. Another hidden pattern is emotional pacing. You may move inward emotionally at a pace others can't track. Your processing is deep and internal. While you're already on page 10, others are still reading page 2. Without realizing it, you may disengage too early, thinking, "They won't get it anyway." This isn't arrogance, it's self-protection. But sometimes, slowing your emotional pace just enough allows others to walk beside you instead of trailing behind you. Connection does not require sameness, only shared presence. God says, "Notice how you interpret silence." When someone doesn't reach out, do you assume disinterest, or do you assume neutrality? Often, past wounds teach us to personalize absence. This creates emotional withdrawal before clarity arrives. Instead of closing inward, try holding space for curiosity. Not every gap is rejection. Not every pause is a sign. When you stop filling silence with negative meaning, you leave room for organic return. This alone can shift how close people feel to you. There is also the matter of emotional permission. Some people don't come close because they sense you don't need anything from them. Independence is admirable, but connection forms where contribution is allowed. Let others offer support, ideas, laughter, presence, even imperfection. When you accept without minimizing or deflecting, you tell the other person, you matter here. People move closer where they feel useful in a healthy way, not where they feel unnecessary. God says, closeness is built in small moments, not grand confessions. Eye contact held a second longer. A thought shared before it's fully polished. A pause where you don't rush to fill the space. These micro-moments accumulate trust. You don't need to reveal everything. You only need to reveal something real. Authenticity doesn't overwhelm when it arrives gradually, it invites. Another reason people may not come close is that you are highly perceptive. You notice inconsistencies, emotional shifts, and unspoken motives. This sensitivity is a gift, but if it remains ungrounded, it can create distance. You may internally evaluate others before they've had time to settle into themselves. Discernment becomes warmth when paired with patience. Let people show you who they are over time instead of deciding early. Time reveals truth without effort. God says, your presence carries depth, and depth can feel intimidating to those who live at the surface. But the right people are not afraid of depth, they are nourished by it. Your task is not to shallow yourself for access, but to soften your entry points. Depth offered gently feels inviting, not overwhelming. This is done through tone, pacing, and curiosity about the other person's inner world, not just your own reflections. Pay attention also to how you receive compliments or interest. If you deflect, downplay, or question sincerity, you quietly discourage closeness. Receiving openly is an act of trust. You don't have to agree or disagree, you only have to accept that someone chose to express something positive. That acceptance communicates emotional availability more than words ever could. God says, there is a difference between boundaries and walls. Boundaries are flexible and responsive. Walls are rigid and protective. Ask yourself honestly, am I protecting my peace, or am I protecting myself from being seen? The answer may change depending on the day, and that's okay. Awareness allows you to choose instead of react. Choice is where healing lives. As you practice these shifts, you may feel moments of vulnerability that feel unfamiliar. That discomfort is not danger, it is growth. Closeness always carries uncertainty. The goal is not to eliminate uncertainty, but to trust yourself enough to handle whatever arises. You are no longer the person who needed to shut down to survive. You are becoming the person who can stay open without losing stability. God says, people will begin to sense this change before you do. They will feel more at ease around you. Conversations will flow more naturally. Emotional exchanges will feel less effortful. And even if some people still don't come close, it will no longer wound you in the same way, because you will understand that connection is about alignment, not availability. This part of the journey is quiet but powerful. Nothing dramatic changes overnight, yet everything slowly rearranges. You begin to trust your presence. You begin to trust others a little more. You stop asking what's wrong with you and start honoring what's right with you. And from that place, connection becomes a shared choice instead of a silent longing. God says, stay with this unfolding. The next layer will take you even deeper into how to embody connection without effort, how to attract resonance naturally, and how to recognize the people who are meant to come close without forcing or waiting. This is not the end of the message. This is the strengthening of the foundation. God says, now we arrive at the deepest layer, my beloved soul, the place where understanding turns into embodiment and awareness becomes a living energy that others can feel without you saying a single word. This is not about techniques anymore, not about fixing yourself, not about trying to be more open or more appealing. This is about alignment. When you are aligned within yourself, closeness stops being something you seek and starts becoming something that naturally happens around you. At this level, it is important to understand a quiet truth: people don't come close because they sense disconnection inside you, not because you are broken, but because parts of you learn to live separately from one another. Your mind may be ready for connection, your heart may long for it, but a deeper part of you may still be guarding your peace by staying self-contained. Others unconsciously feel this internal separation, and they respond by keeping a respectful distance, even when they like you. God says, integration is the key now. This means allowing your thoughts, emotions, intuition, and body to be in the same room together. When you feel something, don't immediately analyze it. When you think something, don't suppress the emotion underneath. When your body reacts, don't override it with logic. Presence becomes magnetic when all parts of you are allowed to exist without judgment. People feel safest near those who are at home within themselves. Another deep reason people may not come close is because you carry an unspoken strength. You've learned to self-regulate, self-soothe, and self-understand. While this is powerful, it can sometimes signal, I don't need anyone. Not in words, but in energy. Closeness grows where mutual reliance is possible. This doesn't mean becoming dependent, it means allowing interdependence. Let others witness moments where you don't have the answer yet. Let them see you process in real time. This shared humanity creates intimacy. God says, notice how you exit emotional moments. When something meaningful happens, do you quickly move on, distract yourself, or return to neutrality? This habit often forms when emotions were once overwhelming or unsupported. But closeness lingers in the after-moment, in the pause, in the shared silence. Try staying just a little longer. Let moments breathe. Let connections settle instead of closing the door too quickly. There is also a subtle pattern of self-containment that shows up in how you tell your story. You may share facts without feelings, experiences without impact, events without vulnerability. This keeps you safe, but it keeps others on the outside. You don't need to reveal trauma or deep wounds. Simply sharing how something felt, not just what happened, opens the door to emotional resonance. Resonance is what draws people close. God says, you are not meant to be easily accessible to everyone. Some distance is divine protection. Not everyone has the capacity to meet you where you are. The problem was never that people don't come close, the pain came from believing that meant something was wrong with you. Now, with awareness, you can allow closeness where it belongs and release the need for it where it doesn't. As you shift, you may notice something surprising: fewer connections, but deeper ones. Conversations that feel nourishing instead of draining. People who listen instead of just talk. Moments of silence that feel comfortable, not awkward. This is the sign of alignment. When you stop performing connection, you start attracting it. God says, embodiment is quiet confidence. It's the calm in your voice. The steadiness in your presence. The way you don't rush to prove, explain, or defend yourself. This calm invites others to relax their defenses. People come close to those who feel emotionally spacious, not crowded or guarded. Spaciousness comes from self-trust, not from effort. Now understand this clearly: you do not need to change your personality. You do not need to become more extroverted, more expressive, or more available. You only need to remove the fear around being seen. Fear contracts energy. Trust expands it. Each time you choose honesty over protection, presence over withdrawal, curiosity over assumption, you loosen the old patterns that kept others at a distance. God says, the moment you stop asking, why don't people come close to me, and start asking, who feels safe to come close with me, everything shifts. This reframes connection from a lack to a choice. From something missing to something emerging. You are no longer waiting, you are discerning. You may also notice that as you embody this, some people drift away. Let them. They were connected to the old version of you that stayed distant to stay safe. Others will appear without effort. They will feel familiar, not intense. Calm, not confusing. Present, not inconsistent. These are the connections that grow without forcing. God says, your work now is simple but profound: stay present with yourself. Speak from where you are, not where you think you should be. Allow closeness to build naturally, moment by moment. Trust that your depth is not a burden, it is an invitation for the right souls. And here is the final truth you need to hear: you were never meant to be surrounded by many. You were meant to be known deeply by a few. Your energy is not designed for the crowd. It is designed for meaningful exchange. When you honor this, loneliness dissolves, not because you are constantly accompanied, but because you feel understood when it matters. God says, this message completes the cycle. Awareness, understanding, integration, embodiment. You are not invisible. You are selective. You are not distant. You are discerning. And now, you are ready for the kind of closeness that doesn't drain you, doesn't confuse you, and doesn't require you to disappear to belong. If this message resonated with your soul, take a moment now. Like this video so it reaches others who feel the same quiet distance. Comment what line spoke to you the most so your voice becomes part of this space. Share this with someone who feels unseen but deeply valuable. And subscribe to this channel, because the next messages will go even deeper into alignment, healing, and connection meant especially for you.